Look at this setting description. A cabin stood by the lake. The wind blew through the trees. There were clouds in the sky. It's not a very effective description because it lacks depth. We know there's a cabin, a lake, the wind, some trees, and clouds in the sky, but we don't know anything about them. This makes it hard for the reader to visualize the scene or feel any connection to the mood. How can we add more detail? In today's tutorial, you will learn the importance of including expanded noun phrases in your setting descriptions.
On your marks. Get set.
What are they? Expanded noun phrases are phrases that provide more detail about a noun by adding adjectives, prepositional phrases, or relative clauses. And don't worry if you're not familiar with some of these terms. We'll cover them one at a time. Put simply, expanded noun phrases take a noun, like a tree, and expand it. Why are they used? Expanded noun phrases are essential for creating engaging and emotionally rich settings. Basically, they provide the reader with more detail. This detail will help them to imagine the setting more vividly. How do I use them? To help you learn how to write expanded noun phrases, let's go through an example. We'll begin with a bicycle. Step 1 is to add an adjective. A broken bicycle. That's expanded it a little, but let's keep going. We could add a second adjective. A rusty, broken bicycle. If we do decide to use more than one adjective, as they independently describe the bicycle and each adjective can exist without the other, it is important to separate the adjectives with a comma. We can include even more detail about the bicycle by using a prepositional phrase. A prepositional phrase adds more detail by explaining where, when, or how something is. Any of these words will help you to do this. Let me use in. A rusty, broken bicycle in a puddle of thick mud. Finally, we can expand our noun phrase by adding a relative clause. Any of these words will help you to do this. Let me use which. A rusty, broken bicycle in a puddle of thick mud, which clung onto the wheels with no intention of letting go. You might have noticed that I have neither begun with a capital letter or ended with a full stop. This is because what I've written is not yet a sentence. It's an expanded noun phrase. Let me add something to the start to make it into a sentence. On the side of the path sat a rusty, broken bicycle in a puddle of thick mud, which clung onto the wheels with no intention of letting go. At this point, it's important to warn you about the danger of overwriting. This is when you make your expanded noun phrases too long and too complex. Take a look at this. The deep, mesmerizing sound of the ocean waves crashing against the rugged, jagged rocks on the seemingly endless shoreline, which stretched out before them in a way that made it seem as if it would never end, fill the air with a rhythmic, almost hypnotic lull that carried with it a sense of both tranquility and immense power, making everyone who stood there feel the vastness of nature. In writing, balance is key. It's important to provide enough detail to create vivid imagery, but avoid overwhelming the reader with too much description. Whilst I've given you 4 steps here, you do not have to use all 4. Sometimes using just 1 or 2 of them is enough. A mug. Add an adjective. A grimy mug. Let's add another adjective. A grimy, faded, flower-patterned mug. I could stop here, but I think I'll add a prepositional phrase. A grimy, faded, flower-patterned mug with coffee crusted into the rim. That's fine. Adding a relative clause might make it too complicated, so I'll just add something to the end of this phrase to make it into a complete sentence. A grimy, faded, flower-patterned mug with coffee crusted into the rim stood on the table. That works really well. So, to sum up, expanded noun phrases add extra information about the noun. To do this, you could add adjectives, you can add a prepositional phrase, or you can add a relative clause. However, be careful of adding too much. Overwriting can overwhelm the reader. And with that, let's head back to our cabin setting description. We'll rewrite it using what we've just learnt. A moss-covered, weathered log cabin stood by the calm, glassy lake. A chill autumn wind blew through the tall, swaying pine trees, their branches creaking softly. The sky was blanketed with heavy grey clouds that cast a dark, looming shadow across the landscape. For other great setting description writing tips, make sure you watch this video. And to continue to take your writing to the next level, make sure you subscribe to my channel.